Hi, I'm Jen Spencer, and this is Jen Spencer's 10-Minute Book Club. Hi, readers. Thank you for being here today. I am so excited to introduce to you Susanne Ash. She is delightful, and we had a great conversation. Remember, if you leave a comment or ask a question, you'll automatically be entered to win a copy of Suzanne's book, Don't Fall for Summer, and also an ebook copy of my book, Dandelion Meadows. Cute, sweet, quirky, small town romance. Also, don't forget, if you sign up for my Jen Spencer newsletter, you'll get a free ebook copy of Jesse and James, which is my hilarious and romantic Western historical, which I know you're going to love. Now, I'm so excited to introduce Susanne Ash. Hi, Susanne. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Really excited for my readers to get to know you and to get to know more about your book and books. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I noticed you have a little bit of an accent. So tell us about that.
Sure, I do. I was actually born and raised in Germany.
Cool.
And came over to the States as an au pair in the 90s and met my husband over here, fell in love, and we built a life together here. And I've always been just a voracious reader since before I could read. My mom tells the story that I would bug her to read more stories and more stories than she had time to read. So when it was time to go to school, I couldn't wait to be able to read, so I could read books for as long as I wanted to. And that's basically what I've done ever since.
Oh, that's so cool. I feel like that's where a lot of writers get their start, is just they love to read. So how did you get into writing?
I think I've been a writer almost as long as I've been a reader, because I remember I grew up with lots of cousins and a sister, and I remember creating stories for them, and at some point actually creating illustrated children's books for my little cousins. My aunt actually dug one up and showed it to me a few years ago. That was kind of fun. And I distinctly remember, being a young teenage girl, that I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a novelist. And I come from a very German, very pragmatic household. So, of course, that even just as a career possibility, it was like, yeah, no, you'll never make a life as an artist kind of thing. So, I did the sensible thing and went to college and went to work.
What was your day job?
I did a bunch of call center work, some lab work, just different types of stuff. Just nothing ever really stuck, nothing I loved. And then when I had my daughter in 2003, I kind of wanted to figure out a way to stay home and still having that love for writing, but still not believing that writing fiction was something I was capable of or that it was something I could make money with. This is long before blogs, but I basically started writing website content, writing online content. I worked as a virtual assistant for several online entrepreneurs and sort of built my way into that, and have been making a living mainly from my own websites since 2004, 2005 is when I stopped. Fairly quickly, I stopped working for other people and just, I was basically an online entrepreneur, a blogger. And then in 2018, the idea of fiction kept bubbling up. And I think it started with a Facebook post from a fellow entrepreneur. She had gotten back into writing romance. And I'm like, that is so cool. I wonder if I can do that too. And she recommended Romancing the Beat by Gwen Hayes as a resource. And I ordered the book. I'm like, ooh, she just tells you step by step how to do this. And I've read enough, thousands of romances, I recognize this pattern, and I see what these people are doing. And I was like, let me see if I can do this. Let me try to write. And I have a half finished historical romance novella that nobody will ever see, stuck in a file folder somewhere, that I showed to one other person. The writer community is so amazing. So when I connected with some people and asked questions, and I'm like, hey, would you read this and tell me if this is something even worth pursuing, or if I'm just a lost cause and wasting my time over here? And she read it, and she liked the style of writing, but there were a lot of historical and horse-related inaccuracies in the story, because I've never been around horses much, and I guess I hadn't internalized the whole write what you know part of the equation. So that's why it'll never be developed or see the world light of day. And but she's like, but the writing is good, so you just need to do a lot more research. And that's when I discovered that as much as I love history and I love writing kind of a historical type thing, I don't have the patience for the research required to really get all the tiny details.
I am exactly the same way. Maybe that is it patience, or yeah, because I don't like research. It just takes too long. Patience is the right word.
I don't mind, the little bit of research in contemporary romance if you're writing about something you're not quite sure of, or a locale or something like that. But the constant, okay, how are they getting on this horse? How are they getting off this horse? How long does it take to ride these 12 miles from this location to that by horse? Yes. And is it in the winter? Is it in the spring? I'm like, yeah, I am not a historical writer. So I abandoned that project. We're done with the historical stuff. And I wrote my next novel, which I finished, and that was Stranded Poolside with the Billionaire's Son. And it's a novella. So I figured I can learn faster and figure out how to finish a book, how to edit a book, how to get a book out there and get some feedback if I keep it shorter. I didn't want to spend a year writing an 90,000 word novel. So it's right at 25,000 words, I think. So it's a decent sized novella. And after that, I was hooked. I'm like, this is so much fun. Started the next book while this one was in the first round of edits, and that's been it.
That's so great. So how many books do you have out?
So 9 actual published novels, novellas, 2 very short reader magnets that I wrote, and then I have a few that either are currently in anthologies or are getting ready to come, where the rights come back to me. So a few more, of course, writing in the pipeline as well. But those are the published ones.
Well, that's amazing for really only being in it since 2018. That's you're prolific. Great. So tell us about your latest book. I'm really excited to hear about it.
I'm going to talk about, I think, Don't Fall for Summer, which is the first book in the Love on Palmer Island series. So basically all the contemporary romance I have written, starting with the one I mentioned, Stranded Poolside, take place on this fictional place called Palmer Island, which is based on a small barrier island on the South Carolina coast where we lived up until last year. I wanted a little bit of literary freedom to, add some stores and some restaurants and, not step on anybody's toes. So I gave it a different name, but it's got the same feel and vibe. And the Love on Palmer Island is basically I guess you could call it a spin-off of my Clean Beach Billionaire romances. So basically it's the same side characters, the same locale, but now we don't have the billionaires in there. Okay. They might still appear, but it's not a billionaire, but a regular contemporary beach romance. And as a reader, I've always loved the don't fall in love with your best friend's little sister, don't fall for your best friend's brother, that kind of trope. That's a good trope. I knew I wanted to play with that. And I kind of, the title, Don't Fall for Summer, popped into my head because I knew I wanted to write a summery, beachy romance. I'm like, oh yeah, the main character's name's going to be Summer, and she's going to be somebody's little sister. And from there, it kind of, you know how you stew on these ideas for a little while. At least I do when I start to develop a new novel, especially when it's a new series. And I remember all the stories my husband told me. He grew up here in South Carolina, and they would go to the beach, the general area that I'm describing, quite a bit. And he had two great friends. So in my mind, I've seen these pictures, and I kind of imagined what it was like for, you know, three young guys, three young boys growing up, surfing, going to the arcade, that kind of stuff. So the idea developed of three friends who all find their significant other in the first three books of this series. And this is the first one. So we actually have, it also introduces Summer's older brother, Simon, who is one of the three guys. And then she falls for his best friend, Braden. And Simon and Braden are actually in business together. So they run their own company. Kind of, I'm dipping a little bit into my online business entrepreneurial background here. And yeah, just playing with all the tension that arises from not only are you falling for your best friend's little sister, but your best friend is also your business partner and part of your livelihood. And Braden has all kinds of issues around that, you know, not loving the direction that the business is going in. So lots of fun, lots of tension to play with. And
I love that. I have started reading it.
Mm-hmm.
You sent it to me, and it's so cute. I wish I had been able to finish it before this interview, but it's okay. What I read so far is just darling. I love that kind of a trope.
Well, thank you.
I love all that conflict that just, like you said, naturally comes up
Mm-hmm.
with, hey, we're in business together. Hey, this is my little sister. And
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So there's a lot of baseline content, but I try to keep it pretty light. So there's not like a whole huge bunch of tension kind of. It's a light, fun beach read.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, those are my favorites. I love the romantic comedy. That's really what it is. Yep. Feel good. Just nice light read. I like that.
I think we all need a little bit more of that to balance what's happening in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of hard feelings right now.
Because we're living the urban fantasy version of the novels right now.
Yes. Well, it's been so fun to talk to you. Tell me, I'm just going to ask a couple of fun questions because
Sure.
Tell me, what is your favorite romantic movie?
Sweet Home Alabama. I could watch that again and again and again. It's one of those, that's my comfort food movie. If I've had like a really rough week, I'll just curl up on the couch with that and I'm good to go.
Oh, I love that one. Reese Witherspoon. Oh, she's so wonderful. And the guy, I don't know his name, but he's really great too. That's a great one. I love that one. I love asking people what their favorite romantic movie is because I get some really good ones like, oh, I need to watch that again, you know, or I need to watch that. I haven't seen it. So that's great. Okay, last question. You're stuck on a desert island. Would you rather have a lifetime supply of toilet paper or chocolate?
Chocolate. Without a doubt.
Okay.
I can figure something out, but I can't make chocolate.
That's true. Good point. Yeah, I'm more the practical type. I definitely want toilet paper.
I struggled with that question. Thankfully, you warned me about that one. So I had a little bit of time to think about it. First time I looked at it, I'm like, what kind of question is that? You can't make me decide between those two.
Yeah, and you know, you definitely, it's a simple question, but you definitely have to think about it for a while, you know, think of all the scenarios. So, well, Susanne, thank you. It has been a pleasure. May all your writing flow very well. That's my wish
Thank
for
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.